2013 shows up. Was it late 20? I attended a show for the Tusker Light Experience, yeah, where they brought, what is that one?
Joe.
No, they brought...
That's when they were doing the R&B guys.
Yeah, they were doing... Joe's 2013, but there's an artist I showed, and that's when I met David Sanders, who is Mandala, who ended up doing Coke Studios. So he tells me that there's this show that's coming out in 2013 that is huge. Would you want to be involved in it? I'm like, sure. So 2013 comes and I go have meetings with him. And then he says, this is what the show is about.
No way.
This is Coke Studio. I want you to help me put up a band. And then so I'm like, after we do this, we're pitching it to Coke. Who knows what will happen? But in my mind, I'm like, but I have TPF too. So will it clash? Because these are two different brands. There's CocaCola and I'm doing Tusker. So now in my mind, I'm like, ooh.
But the pay.
And the pay is similar.
Oh yeah.
Kind of similar. But I'm like, okay. Let's ride it. So I do the pilot project, which is I think January of 2013. Who is the artist who's bringing his broad? Seun Kuti, the son of who? Fela Kuti. The one who took over his dad's.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Size 8 was the other artist, and then this fantastic musician from Cameroon called Frank Biong, who ended up being the musical director. So the gig, we did the show at the Coke headquarters in Upper Hill, and they completely loved it. So Mandela was given the gig. A month later, a few weeks later, I think a couple of days later, David calls me, is like, we've got the gig. So I'd already put up the band, the same guys that I play with. So the same guys that I'm playing with for TPF. So I'm now my band for Coke Studio. So now I'm finding myself in a fix. I'm like, and Coke are very strict with other brands. So like, what am I gonna do? So I had to make a decision. That one, I had to make a decision. There's no way out.
What? I didn't even know this story.
Yeah, I had to choose. And 2013, something else also happens in the line of Coke. Now, that's why I always say that I'm also a proponent of sometimes probably I've not, that moments I've slipped here, but one of the things that I try to do is to be honest, just integrity. So I get wind that Coke, because remember my advertising background, I get wind that Coke are doing a big campaign for an advertisement and they want a jingle. So guys are supposed to pitch. So I'm pitching with heavyweights, Sounds and Pictures, myself, and I can't remember someone else who it was. So I get a phone call from because I think Sounds and Pictures didn't know that I'm pitching. So I get a phone call from Sounds and Pictures asking me, do I know Maurice Kiria? I tell them, yes, I know Maurice Kiria. I'm like, oh, great. We're doing this Coke pitch. Would you please ask him to get in contact with us? I was like, okay, because me, I'm also doing this gig too. Like, okay, let's see where this is going. So like, I was like, oh, I think you can. Okay, then the email says, okay, in that case, here is the entire blueprint of what we're doing. These are the guys I'm supposed to be pitching against, and they've given me everything.
Yep.
I just pulled out.
What?
My conscience couldn't allow me, because that would be unfair. I pulled out. Like, God will bless me some other time.
What?
I couldn't. And I was gonna get a good pay, but no. Absolutely, I pulled out.
That's crazy.
Even I called even the gentleman who we were shooting with, and I just told him, I think it was Tony Gitonga, I think.
Tosh.
I even told him, I can't, man. I'm like, these guys have told me everything they're doing. It'll be, and then we're about to book Maurice Kiria for all that jazz.
Yes, because he came.
Yeah, so I'm like, how in the world am I? I think that's why they called me, because we had already started advertising in the
that he's
capital.
coming.
Yeah, so that's why they got in touch. Like, can you get us Maurice Kiria to do this Coke Nini?
So you pulled out, including of Coke Studio.
Not Coke Studio. This was on the side.
Just as a pitch.
This as the advertising job.
Yes.
Now the Coke Studio one, I had to tell Mandela.
First of all, as from that advertising perspective, can you remember even with Kijiji, there's a Coke job that you had done and won? I'm not sure if it was. Okay, then maybe you weren't the one involved in that, but you had to, because this was Kanji and Mwendi.
Which one? I'm trying to remember.
I'm not sure if it was World Cup or anyway. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a Coke job.
It was a vague memory of that one. But anyway, I just so here are 2 gigs for Coke that I'm pulling out.
Oh man.
Because in all, my conscience just couldn't allow me. I was like, there's no way. I'm like, these guys, they're sending me the email, they're telling me they're going to shoot, they're telling me everything. Everything was like right there. So I told my wife, I'm like, I can't.
Okay, that's
it's my
advertising
belief.
job.
That's my belief. Now come to Coke Studio and TPF. Now Coke have got the very strict policy about other brands, and I knew it was gonna be a problem. I knew it. I knew. And so for me, I'm like, I think I've been with Project Fame for a while, so I weighed the options. I was like, let me just go with Project Fame. But I told my musicians at that time, that's when I started playing with Kato. I told them, this is my decision. And you see, unlike Project Fame, I'm not coming in as a package with the band. So everyone is being hired individually. So if those guys call you, go ahead and do the gig. You know, it's your gig. Me, I'm making this. This is my own personal conviction. So I didn't do it. But we ended up doing you know how things work? Safaricom came and started sponsoring all that jazz. So, not Safaricom. Yeah, we had Safaricom and EABL.
Nice.
So they sponsored Maurice Kiria, which was it was a good gig, but it was a hard gig, because we had to move out of the auditorium and set it outside. So I ended up, it was fraught with so much, because that's the first time I've brought in an artist from outside. That's from Uganda, and that's when I realized the logistics of bringing an international artist is crazy.
Yep.
You know, so oh man, it was stress, and that one left me in debt.
Yo,
the Maurice Kiria gig left me in debt.
Despite the sponsorship,
it left me in debt, because there are all these things that I didn't realize that you need.
I get.
So when you go back to your Excel sheet and look at how much you owe, and having conversations with David, he's telling me you got a couple of millions. We have to pay people.
Oh.
I can remember I called my good friend Arthur DJ Space. I told him I've got problems. It's like, let's meet at Prestige Plaza. There's a place that has got chai tangawizi. That's where we used to go and just sit down and just contemplate about this money problems. Like, what's your problem? Like, I did all that jazz. This thing has just dented my account. I think it was like $1 million something. Then he looked at me and just he just abused me hard. Like, that's how much your debt is. Do you know how much I owe? And then what is strange, that day was such an interesting day, because now he tells me, let's go to the bank, because he needed to get some money from the bank. He needed to get, I think it was like 26,000 shillings to pay one of his suppliers for one of, because even him, he was like, things were thick. So we got to the bank, I think Diamond Trust Bank, up or two, at
Prestige.
yeah. So we're standing, I'm chilling, him is at the teller. Then this lady comes and confidently talks to the teller, and make that 26,000 pounds. Space is getting 26,000 shillings. This one lady, see, says 26,000 pounds. So me, I look at him and like, whoa. As in, how can it be that both of us guys
Getting 26,000 pounds.
We went back and had some more tea.
Tangawizi.
We were like, you guys, let's go to drink some more tea. You guys, this entertainment here is
rough.
It can be, when you see these guys put up events, when you see Mudhoni, Yani, she's just, she's ridiculous. And mine is a smaller event. I can't shudder to think how many times she'd scratch her head. And I think she's spoken about it.
Yep.
I'm like, what in the world am I doing, man?
Yep.
You know? So it's events are ridiculous. But then it's like we are tied to them. I'll do another one. Let's go do another one. And this time I'm bringing a guy from Denmark. Bring him. So the next All That Jazz, that Musa Diallo from Denmark, we brought him.
No.
Yeah. But this time we had our ducks. Things were a bit sort of like, okay, I don't find myself in that situation. So it ended up being 2 days.
Nice.
We had the sponsorships that needed to come, and then everything just it was a profit. Even. Yeah, it was a profit, but not so big. But at least there was no one.
Yes.
There's no one. There's no Tangawizi. Chai Tangawizi.
There's no 26,000 pounds.
There's no 26,000 pounds. Oh man, you guy, how can sell? Oh man, you guy, you guy went back and drank tea. Because you're thinking, I'm like, but that's what life is. And so that ended up being, I took a break from All That Jazz after that one.
After now the Denmark.
For Musa Diallo.
Uh-huh.
And a fantastic singer from South Africa called Shumi.
Okay.
But then 2013 came with other things. I'd always loved the World Groove Show at Capital FM. Mm-hmm. The Capital Jazz Club, Jaco Jambo held the fort for a long time. So I spoke to one of the producers. His name is Vigneault. At that time he was a producer. And I sent him an email and I tell him, by the way, I noticed that you guys don't have a presenter for the World Groove Show. I've got a catalog. Remember the Les Wanyika?
Yes.
I've got this music from here to, because I collect all that music. I'm like, I have lots of African music. So yeah, I can give me a gig there. So he's like, really? Like, let me just talk to Somoina and see what happens. So, Somoina writes me like a day later. Like, oh, you do world music? You do world groove? I'm like, yeah. What about the jazz show? So I'm like, what do you mean? But there's Jack. So we meet at a Blankets and Wine, and she's like, she tells me, we're trying to change the show, change the format, this is what we're looking at, you want to take it a different direction. Would you be interested in doing the jazz show? I said yes, but but Jack has got such a following. From 1996 to 2013. That's
including
17 years. Including me.
Included you?
Me who had been interviewed by him, the 15th. So this is a guy I've grown up listening to. I'm like, oh. So the plan was I go and co-host a show with him. But I think, I don't know, there's a disagreement. So I ended up doing the Capital Jazz Club. That's how I ended up doing the Capital Jazz Club. So I was not initially going there to do the Capital Jazz Club. I was going there to do the World Groove Show.
So was it hot now, the day your first show? Our guys like,
you guy.
This guy, go back and play your piano, bana.
You guy.
Kenyans.
First day, 6 months. The entire 2013. Every Sunday was let's abuse Aaron Rimbui. every Sunday without fail. That's when I became thick skin. Because the first time I went and told, after a month, I went and told someone, this thing I've noticed. But they're like, actually Makbul is the one who told me, relax. You think us guys, me, I came in to host the show after who left, Okina Marcus and Leo. Yours is nothing. Me, it was daily. Yours at least. Makbul is the one who told me, even corporates are like, chuck that guy or we won't give you money.
Yep.
So, like, yours is small time.
So what are guys doing? It's on SMSs and tweets, everything.
Kwanza Facebook. Facebook is special. There's another. There's the Twitter one where you're chapa. Ouch. Yeah. But there's another one for Facebook. You see the conversations guys are having there. Because Twitter gives us the limit. Yeah, the character. But this one is paragraphs. There's like there's compositions of how like this guy. It became like I went and they said all sorts of such things. I'm like, why did I agree to this gig, man? But then I was like, you know what? I'm in it now. So I had to look at like, okay, well, there's nothing.
And in the beginning, you're alone. You weren't.
She someone said that there's this chick who has come from the little lady who used to work at Krucial FM. She now works in Ethiopia. She's coming back to Kenya. She lives in the States. She has a radio background. So let's have her because you don't have that
conversation
that experience. That experience of radio, operating the desk. So her job is to at least make sure that running the ads. Yeah, running the desk. That's what you call it. So like, okay, because I said, if you're hiring me, me, I don't know how to operate this thing. And it'll take a while to understand how the workings of playing the music, talking, mic. It's a spaceship.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how this spaceship works. No. So she's like, okay, she can help. She can hold the fort. And then she's a nice chick. We had a good chemistry. And that's how we ended up, myself and Linda Murithi. You know? So, for 6 months, as I'm telling you, let's have a conversation and bash this guy. Even guys who used to come to my shows. So I was puzzled. I'm like, but you guys know I play the music. You guys know. And you guys used to like it when I'm hosted by Jack. All of a sudden, I am the face. And you see even how Capital did it. They went all out and advertised it everywhere.
Wow.
With big ads. I was like, whoa. There's another guy who had such a statement. Like, jazz has died. Today marks the official death of jazz in Kenya. I'm like, wow. Guys can be. Why would you say that now, man? I've been doing my shows. I'm like, what has changed? But I'm like, people, if they're used to something,
and they're difficult.
And he'd been there for 17 years. So I'm like, oh wow.
And so guys were blaming you for him leaving.
Yeah, they were blaming me for me leaving.
For him leaving, yeah.
Yeah, so they thought I went and I took his job. I was going there for the World Groove. And then initially I was supposed to co-host the show with him. So how did it become like now I've taken his gig?
Wow.
I got so much heat, you guy. Wow.
But face to face, no one would ever tell you anything. Twitter warriors and
keyboard warriors. That's when I got now that thing of internet harassment. I got a taste. 6 months. Even when I was doing TPF the same year. Because I'd pre-record some of the shows on Friday and go do the show on Sundays. Stick to TPF. That's what they're telling me. Kenyans are you guy. But anyway, that's what happens. But then now, I ended up doing the gig. We ended up doing some shows. There was the Jazz and the Stars. Some nice gigs started coming up.
Via now
Capital. And then now me and Kanji started these acoustic sessions, piano and voice.
But before piano and voice, had you...
Yes. Now, the piano and voice concept came through Bruce Odhiambo. I Reconnect in 2012 was like, why don't you do an album of hymns? All hymns that our parents used to listen. And they've never been documented, but it'll be good if the two of you could come up with this contemporary way of doing it. why don't we record it? So we're like, cool. So actually, this PRN Voice you hear, you listen to, it was launched in
it properly the screen.
Simplified. Yeah. Thanks for you had it.
That's my copy by the way.
Copy.
You don't even. It's not thank you. It's not yours.
I don't have a copy.
I just came to show you.
So when we did,
Kanji has actually put it online.
oh, okay.
It's actually online right now. Hold on. Let's change some buttons and then we come back to this.